Masechta Menochos, Chav Ches Amud Aleph. We're starting from the Mishnah. So 8-9 lines from the top. Okay, we're starting the Mishnah. Okay, here we go. Zog the Mishnah Shiva Kanim Meneira Ma'akim Zam is the 7 kanim. There were 7 sticks by the Meneira, of course. You cannot duplicate a Meneira. And that's why when you go to buy a Meneira in the store, it's either 8, 6, if it's even a leichter, but they try not to do 7.
7
because it's like the Meneira. But it's Ma'akim Zazah, meaning that by a Meneira, if you're missing one of the sticks, then it's Ma'akim to fulfill the mitzvah of the Meneira. So too, when they gave to the Shiva Neira cell. So when Neiras, there were cups on top of the Meneira, which they put the wick with the oil. So you need all 7. You need a wick on each one. And if you're missing, it's missing, it's holding back one from the other. Right, the 2 pashas by mezuzah. What are the 2 pashas? Shema and Vahayim Shemaya. What do we see about both places mention about mezuzahs? Uchsav tom al mezuzahs. So they learned the pirush uchsav tom has to be complete. Cannot be missing anything. Even one ace is going to be ma'akar the kashas of the mezuzah. Yeah. Abba pasha betfilim. Others say it's the same pasuk. Abba pasha betfilim. Akvan zuazu by the 4 pashas of the tefillin. Yeah, pasha shmai b'hayim shemaya is the second one. Kaddish is the third one. V'hayim kiviyach is the 4th one. And all of them mention about putting on the tefillin. So that's how we know we need the 4 pashas in the tefillin. And one without one, it's mag with the mitzvah tefillin. But even one ace, not neichet zakman. One ace is halt up, is ma'akiv. Others say from the pasuk.
But he doesn't say it's possible. He just says it's ma'akiv.
Ma'akiv means it's possible. It's not. You're not fulfilling the mitzvah.
Halt up.
But so you find also there's others that say the pasuk is from Bahaya, and others say it's from Uchsav Tam. In the pasuk state Uchsav Tam, and the same thing is by Tefillin, by Sefer Torah. Anyway, sagt die Mishnah weiter, aber Tzitzius Ma'akim Zuazu, the 4 corners of the Tzitzis, you have to have in each corner, and the missing one is Ma'akim, eine der Zweite. Shabbat Mitzvah sein. All 4 corners is one mitzvah, because it says V'haya. Havaya means it has to be that way. V'haya lachem letzitzis. So the V'haya means that it has to be one. Rabbi Shmuel argues the 4 corners are 4 different mitzvahs. The Gemara will later explain about a 5th one, a 5th corner as well.
What if it's 4 different ones?
So if it's not, maybe it's not going to be ma'akiv. Each one is a mitzvah. The only reason why it's ma'akiv, they all consider it as one mitzvah. Yeah, somebody was overweight. So somebody told him that he has a story that the reason why he's overweight because he had to check his mezuzahs and he found the word v'achalta tzvei mola. In fact, he might have my time. What's the reason by the Kana Meneira that it's ma'akiv one the other? Because by the Meneira it says Lashon Havaya. It says, if you look by the Meneira, it says Vasis Meneira to us a Meneira Reichel v'Kana Giviyah Kaftarah Ufrachel Mimena Yiyu State Yiyu. So this Lashon shows that the Meneira has to be b'diuk exact like the Torah has been mitzvah. Has commanded. The Meneira was made out of 1 stick gold. One stick. And from gold. What's if you made it from the Meneira from a whole bunch of tzubrachne stichlach, from broken pieces? Psula, it's possible. Misham mini matachis ksheira. Aber it's given from andere metals. If it wasn't zahav, it's given from andere eisens, it's still going to be kosher. Oh, in fact, you want to maish? No. What's the chidli? Why? What's the difference? Is psula. If he makes the Meneira from broken pieces, you say it's possible. Why? Because in the Torah it says miksha, and next to miksha it says the Havaya. It says you at the end of the pasuk, right? I read the whole pasuk. I see some Meneira of Torah miksha tells and the pasuk ends off mimena yiyu. So that's how you know it can only be. It has to be exactly like the Torah says. Mixture. It has to be from one stick. But mishamin in the fact, Gemara mishamin in matos nami zav v'havaya. He says from the other pieces of metal, it should also be possible for the same reason, because it says it has to say zav. It says in the beginning of the pasuk, "Asisim zav Torah," and the pasuk ends off b'manayiyu. So it should be zav also. Why do you allow different metals? It doesn't have to be zav. Oh, but it's come to machen from the one broken piece. You say no mixture, because by mixture it says yiyu. The zalbik yiyu that says for mixture says for zav. It says in the pasuk Teyasa. By when it comes to zav, it says zav Torah. It says mixture te'asa. So from his mashma that he can do it in any form and with any type. L'Rabbi is mishaminim al tochis. The lashon te'asa means in any derech, in any way he wants to make it. That means
as long as it should be one piece.
As long as it's made from one piece. In fact, what if L'Rabbi is migutais? Maybe te'asa, because te'asa, the word te'asa comes after mixture. Not only after the word zahav, it comes also after the word mixture. In fact, it's closer to the word mixture. So let us say te'asa means that you can make even broken pieces. He says, don't think that it shouldn't enter your mind, because the mixture, because the word mixture, you have the word havaya is closer to the word mixture than the word zahav. Because how does the Torah start off? Sisa maneda zahav. So first comes off. And then it says Torah mixture. And then it says mimena yiyu. So yiyu is closer to mixture than to the word zav. So if yiyu is closer to mixture to the word mixture, that means mixture muss sein Punkt wie der Eibishter gewollt, like the instructions that the Torah gives. Mixture
It has to be zav.
has to be. Oh no, it's yiyu is next to me. But because yiyu is closer to mixture, so mixture has to be taka one
Why
stick.
not? It doesn't have to be zav.
But the zav not. The zav teyasa means it can be
Yosis at the end. If you look at the pasuk, it says
yiyu at the end. Yeah, but which word is yiyu closer to? To mixture. Because zav is really at the beginning of the closer to the beginning of the
There's
pasuk.
only one word that
It's so what?
them.
Yeah, you're right, but it's still closer to mixture. That's what he's saying. In fact, you want to tell us mixture, but nevertheless, the word that's mater, that it doesn't have to be exactly like the Torah says, is written closer to the word mixture. It's written. It says mixture teyasa, so your teyasa is closer to the mixture. So he says, no. I'll tell you why you can't have it. You can teyasa cannot go on mixture, because mixture la'akiv. Well, once the Torah repeats itself, Shana Allah Akosa, you remember whenever the Torah repeats itself by Kachim, the same Lashon, that's La'akiv. That means Simuzayin, it has to be that way. It has to be one piece, because it says twice the Lashon Miksha. In fact, you want to Zav Nam La'akiv. It says also Zav many times, so let us say it's Simuzayin Zav. It says you want to Haim Mai. So you want to Shlugs off this time. Iyamata B'Shleima Mina Haguru Tois Psula. If you're going to say that to make a native from broken pieces is possible, and the other piece of metal is going to be kosher. So if you're going to learn shot that way, then hainu zav miksha. He says now we'll understand the drushes, that the dinim that we learned out from these 4 times or 5 times that it says zav and the 4 times that it says miksha. You want to learn zav dinim. That's only if we're going to follow suit, like we said till now, that the meneda can only be made from one piece, and it can be made from all different metals. If you learn it that way, the drashas come out perfect. All the drasha.
What about dash?
Then
How's Zav? What is it? Zav?
says 5 times the word zav.
So therefore, what's coming?
We're still going to get to it, but he says if once you fadrei the drasha and say we want to fadrei that zav, it has to be a mixture. It doesn't. That's no good.
No, Zav, he said doesn't have to.
Right, so it doesn't have. If we stick to this, that zav doesn't have to be gold, but the menorah can be has to be made from one piece. Now the drasha that the Gemara gave later will fit. We'll soon get to what the drashas are. But if you're going to say that even broken pieces, you can make the menorah from broken pieces, is kasha, and anything aside from gold is going to be puzzle. Then we got big problems. Zahav, miksha, my darash tabei. How were we able to make a drasha if you're using it for these drashas? Says the Gemara, my drasha. What's talking the drasha? Maybe was asking, drasha. What's the drasha? Zaksha. Yeah, what is that drasha that we learn out from these psukim? So he says, the Tanya we learned in the Braisa. It says in the Torah, Kika Zav Toid. Yeah, so he says, Kol Akin Ma'ila. So it's mashma only ba if the zav, only if the naira was made out of a gold, then ba kika has to weigh a kikar. A kikar is like 57,000 kilograms. It's a lot.
Says so many times by Menochos.
Yeah, 5 times. So one halacha we learned out: if you make it out of zav, then it has to weigh a kikar. So others say, oh, we can duplicate the menorah because the weight is not the same, but not everybody holds that way. No. And by the way, the menorah that you see that in the courtyard on the way to the Kaisel, by the plaza in the Jewish section, when you go in the Chema of Yerushalayim and towards the Kaisel, there's a plaza, and they have in a showcase a menorah, golden menorah. They try to make it exactly that size, 18 tefachim, the same weight. It's probably worth $16 million. Today it's around $5,000 a gram. An ounce. It's crazy money. Oh, I don't know, but I'm sure it's well protected. I don't think anybody's going to come pick it up over there. Anyway, and the whole tenets is that they say, that's what somebody told me, is because this is not for them. It's nicht for a private zach. They made it for the base of Mikdash Hashlishi. They'll take the menorah and bring it there. Yeah, that's what the answer is. Anyway. So it says over there, ba mizav, so ba kika. So then it has to be taka kika. Ain't a ba mizav, ain't a ba kika. You don't need to have that shawaya kikar. Now, giviyaha, the cups, kaftera, the knobs, ufracha, and the flowers. Ba mizav, if it comes from zav, ba givim kaftera with frachim. Then you need all these 3. You need cups, knobs with flowers. Ain't a ba mizav, ain't a ba givim kaftera with frachim. Then you don't need these 3 things. So that's another zav. That's what the second zav is teaching. Let us learn out only if it's made out of zav. Then you need the 7 sticks. Then you need sticks. But ain't about mizav, ain't about kanim. But if it's not zav, maybe 1 stick is enough, and put on the sticks a whole bunch of different neighbors and 1 stick in the middle. He says, that's not called a menorah. That's called a candlestick. It says, in other words, by the mixture that it should be made out of oisklappen from 1 stick gold to make the menorah. So he says, ba zav, ba mixture. Ain't a ba zav, ain't a ba mixture. If it's zav, then it has to be oisgak from 1 chaticha. But if it doesn't come from zav, it doesn't have to be. You can even have it from a whole bunch of pieces. That's a third zav. It's made mizav. We're going to get to it. No, the chatzitzis were not. We're getting to it now. Mixture the sefer l'mai asa says the one of the mixture of the sefer. What is he coming to teach us? It says It says twice mixture in Pashas Truma and twice mixture in Pashas Baalais. What is the mixture coming to us? To tell us to exclude that the chatzitzis did not have to be mixture. The Tanya that we learned in the Braisa, chatzitzis how you buy in ashes. Kesef. The chatzitzis came from a whole piece from silver. Asam min hagutois. But if you made it from pieces, ksherim is also kosher. But if misham minim hatoches, but if you made it other than silver, then psulim. Here's the reverse. Buy a menorah. It doesn't have to be gold, but it has to be 1 piece. But by chatzitzis, it doesn't have to be 1 piece. Silver, muzak silver. It's not silver. It's no good. With good toys means stikla. It can be even pieces. Like you want to maishna mishanim minim atoches psulim. Why by if it's anything other than silver by the chatzitzis he said it's possible, and by the menorah he said it's kosher. He says the chsiv kasev v'havaya by the chatzitzis it says shtei chatzitzis kasev v'hoyu. It has to be exactly like that way. That's why it has to be silver. Minagutois nami factoring about a mixture havaya. He says it should let it be possible also from the if it's made from pieces, because it says mixture v'havaya. It says mixture taso isam v'hoyu, and it says mixture v'hoyu. So he says, you're right. It would have had to be one piece, but we excluded it doesn't have to be one piece from the Meneda. How do we see from the Meneda? Because by the Meneda it says, he's extra. He's to tell you, the Meneda has to be from one piece, but not the Chatzitzis. Because the mixture by the Kalim, you're saying by Meneda, only this one, only Meneda has to be one piece, but not the other ones.
Nothing else was mixed.
I'm sure there was, but he's connecting it to the Chatzitzis there. How? Because of the Gzeira Shava, mixture, I think, but I'm not sure. I think so. He doesn't bring it down here. This is not the Ikar Yemara. All the kelim that Moshe made, it was not only good for his times, for his generation, but it was also kosher for the future generations. But the Chatzitzis was only good for his generation, but not for the future generations. Oh, forgive your mama's the Gemara. Fragt jetzt, Mama's the next Shaila. Chatzitzis my timer. Why all of a sudden by Chatzitzis it's not good for the future? Says you want to eat lemon dama kar. If you're going to say because it says in the pasuk, I say lecho shtei Chatzitzis keser. Lecho means only for Moshe alone. But later there's habayim, not for the future generations. In fact, you want to really? That's how you're going to learn lecho? No, I have problems with you. If lecha means only to you, it says by Moshe, but also lecha arin eitz. That Moshe should make arin eitz. It says lecha. Hachinami lecha. You can say the arin was only for Moshe's generation, for Leila Deides, and not for the future generations. We know for sure by Eli. The arin from Moshe went to Melchama by Eli. Ella, which was much later. So not only for Moshe's generations. Only if you're going to be mefarish, that the one that said the word milacha means it has to be from your own money. Okay. Or you can explain, like the Mahira that Hashem said to Moshe Kaviyachal, if the tzibur was able to be yotze with yours alone, I would have rather taken the money from you than taking it from the whole tzibur. But being that the tzibur has to be yotze with the arin also, that's why I have to split it between everybody that's knocking for the arin. It cannot only come from your money. But b'peil mamish, lecha doesn't mean his generation. Either lecha means it had to come from Moshe's pocket, or lecha was learned, I would love to take lecha yours, but the tzibur can be yetzer, and therefore you have to have the tzibur join in. He says this mila lecha by Chatzitzis. So we have these two possibilities: either Moshe had to come from Moshe's money, or it means since the tzibur cannot be yetzer.
Moshe had money. It says
He had. Later on, he got those special from the broken pieces of the luchis. He was a wealthy guy.
So he cashed it in for money.
Cashed it in, but he never kept it for himself. Okay. Shiny Hassam says, you want to there? It's different. It says the pasuk lechal lechal. He says the Gemara. There, I understand by Chatzitzis. Why take by Chatzitzis do we say only by Moshe? I say lecha, and it says no. Why dafke doesn't have to be silver and it cannot be changed? Because it says a double lecha. I say lecha v'hayu lecha. So from this that the Torah added the extra lecha, we learn out that it's not kosher. It's not kosher only for the generation of Moshe. I'm sorry. So he says from this till now we could have learned pshat. I don't want to fadei again. It has nothing to do with kesef. It has to do with the Chatzitzis is only for Moshe's generation. So the Gemara says you can't learn lecha means only for his generation. We got a problem because by the Arin it says lecha and it meant for later generations. So he answered lecha means for your money. So for your money, okay, that's how we'll learn pshat, but we still don't have proof. Why should it be only for Moshe's generation? He said, it says twice lecha to tell you it was only for Moshe's generation. So you want to tell me how Papa read Rav Chanan, Kamei Rav Yosef. Rav Papa, the son of Chanan, had learned before Rav Yosef. Hameneira Haisaba Mina Eshes, that the Meneira came from one piece, Umin Hazav, and from gold. Asar Shal Kesef, if he made it from silver, it's going to be kosher. If he made the Meneira of Shal Bats, of tin, or of Shal Avo, or lead, or of Shal Gistrain, or a mixture of a whole bunch of metals, Rabbi Paisel, Rabbi says it's possible.
It's made of 8.
Bats is bedil. Bedil is tin. It's like a dinik, a blech, very dinik. We can't buoy from deal aleim als it's gebegen from alle Seiten. They use that as a cover. Tin, that's what they cover up. Even the fake.
That's lead, no?
No. Fetis is lead. Avar is lead. Bedil is tin. Says you want to Rabbi Yisrael, Rabbi Yehuda Machshir, and Rabbi Yisrael Yehuda is Machshir.
Metals in those days?
Yeah, sure. They used it to cover. It looked like silver. It was beautiful. It was very smooth. They used it to cover because the Gemara will say so. It says Gemara shal eitz v'shal etzem v'shal geschuchis. What's if it was emanated from wood, from bones, or from glass? Everybody says it's possible. Amalei Rabbi Yisrael Papa, my daitach. What's the position of the Chayim? Why was Rabbi Yisrael Rabbi Yehuda matir a menorah that was made out of tin or lead or?
It doesn't have to be daf gezav. So it doesn't have to be daf gezav.
And why did he pass a menorah that's eights, that's from wood, a bone, or glass? Why? What's the difference? So let me just before we go for okay, well, we're going to talk about klal u'pratu klal. There's a klal that tells you all zahav. If I have the whole pasuk over here, I'll say it says in the pasuk. Vasisa menoiras zav. Vasisa menoiras. That's a klal. Any menorah. Then it says zav tahir. That's a prat. And then it says mixture teos menorahs. Noch a klal. Klal u'pratu klal. Iyatadana v'kein prat. It has to be similar to zav. What's similar to zav? You can learn two eifanim. Similar to zav means metals, the same material. Or similar to zav, the sichoshu. Zav today is $5,000 an ounce. We can learn two ways. That's how he's going to learn the machlekes. Yeah, but now, you're right. So it would be perfect. He's talking about benegayim to the eights and the bones. We'll get to it soon. So why is there a difference between the bones, wood, and the metals of lead and tin and a mixture of metals? So he says, Klalu Pratu Dashi. And this is how it says. It says, and then it says of and then mixture tail seminera miu. So we can learn out anything kaina prat is kosher lemonera miu masava Rabbi Yisrael that learns ma prat mefeider shamateches. What's the prat that? How are we comparing it to the prat of zov? Mitzad the metal or mitzad the chshivas? So this Tana learns prat mefeider shamateches, just like he's looking at the metal. Afkol, everything has to be mateches. So you can't have eights. A menorah from wood, a menorah from bones or glass. That's not similar to the zav. Not the gold sichshivus. Ma prat beforish dava chashuv. Just like the prat zav is a dava very cheshiv ezach. I've called dava chashuv. So it's good according to this pshat. That's what he's saying. He's saying, but according to this man, bedil is good. A fedes shaminim atoches. I'm sorry. Bedil or yeferes shaminim atoches that are not chashuv. They're not similar to zav. But then you can have things that are chashuv. Fancy wood, and he didn't go into the details, but he's saying, but according to this man, l'chayra wood would be good, bone would be good because it's a davar chashuv.
If it is.
Yeah.
That'd be bone is
Tannenholz, very expensive.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. He doesn't bring down, but if it's not a davar chashuv, it's not. That's how they learn the machlekes. So that's the machlekes of before. Which one? Rabbi Passels. What does he passel? Or he passels the tin. He passels the yifadis. Either made out of metal. That's not the comparison. The comparison is that has to be chashuv, and it's not chashuv. That's why he holds his passel. Rabbi Yisrael, Rabbi Yehuda says no, it's kosher. Why? Because we only have to have metal. We're comparing it to Zov, mitzad metal, not mitzad
It's
chshidus.
shining up. It's nice.
What's the halal?
I don't know. Amalei, Rav Yosef said to Papa, Sami didach nekamededi. Remove this brayso that you just learned for a different brayso that I learned. The Tanya that I learned, clay shores, the kalim that was served for the Avodah the Beis Hamikdash, Asan Shal Eitz, that was made out of wood. The machlokes was in wood. Till now, we said everybody agrees wood is possible. Wood, bone. We said before the previous brayso, wood, bone, and glass is possible. Here he says, no. Shasan Shal Eitz, Rabbi Pazim, Rabbi Yisrael, Rabbi Yehuda Mashra. So how are they going to learn the machlokes? So let me first tell you, there's a chilik between klal upratu klal and ribui miyut ribui. It's the same words. It sounds the same. Ribui means includes everything. Miyut means excludes everything, and ribui includes everything again. So when you have a ribui miyut ribui, you only memayit one thing, and everything is good. By klal upratu klal, only anything that's similar to the prat. So you can have a lot of things that are excluded that are not similar. If it's not metal, all the non-metals are no good. But ribu miyut v'ribui is only one thing, the opposite of the prat, or the opposite of the miyut. If the miyut is zav, what's the gur opposite of zav? Cheres. That's all you'll be mamayit. And everything else is good. And that's how he's going to learn the machlekes now. The Michael, what are they arguing? Rabbi Darish, Kodu Prati. Rabbi Yisrael, Rabbi Yehuda Darish, Ribuyu Miyuti. That's Rabbi Yisrael, Rabbi Yehuda. And Rabbi says, Mitzad Kalu Prat, Darish Kalu Prat, well, Sis Menedas is the klal, means all the Menedas. Zav Teri means Dafka Gol, which is a Prat. And then Miksha Tehas HaMenedas Vaita Klal, Chasle Kolol. It means all the Menedas. Klalu Pratu Klal, Iatadan Elokeina Prat. Ma prat for the shomat teches, just like the prat has to be metal. Of course, shomat teches. So too, anything that's metal is kosher. So we learn out all shar kalim. So any other kalim that not a metal, right, is going to be puzzle. Is klietz going to be good? Absolutely not. It's not similar to the cloud, to the prat. Rabbi Yehuda learns, no, klietz is dafka yekosher. Darish ribuyu miyuti. He says, vasis menorah means riba, he was marba, all meneiras. Zav ter miyut. No, menorah was zayin dafka zav, he's memayit. Miksha tas ha-menorah, vaita chaz v'riba, all meneiras. Riba, umiyut v'riba, riba hakol, you marba everything. Umay, Rabbi Komili, even eights. Even wood, which is not mateches, is included. Umay miyut. What's the one thing that he has to exclude? When you have miyut shocheres, the only thing you can exclude if it's of cheres, it's earthenware. But everything else is good, and therefore eitz is good. Everything is going to be good. Oh, so the Gemara Adrab lahefer samich didach mekam didi. He says, you remove your baraisa, what you just said that the machlokes was by eitz. That we said that a kli shoretz that was made out of eitz, Rabbi was apostle, Rabbi Yisrael, Rabbi Yehuda, kasher because he learned ribuy and miyut ribuy. He says, move that baraisa. How do you know that the baraisa was, that your baraisa is right, that the machlokes was by eitz? Maybe the machlokes was only in metals. And by eitz, everybody held that it is possible. So he says, lo yisal ketayt. It shouldn't enter your mind that the wood was possible, that a menorah of wood was possible. Especially by the Chashmonai, we know they had it of wood. The Tanya that we learned in the Braisa, Ein lo yizal, if he didn't have wood, gold to make the menorah, maybe avshal kesef. He brings silver. If he didn't have silver, if he didn't have the chesed, shall basil. No basil shall bedil from tin. No bedil shall eferes from lead. Yes, Rabbi Yehuda mashaf shall eitz. Yes, Rabbi Yehuda says even eitz. Tanya Yidach we learned in the Braisa, lo yasod and bayis tam seichel. Somebody should make his house. I want my house to be exactly the measurements of the heichel. I want to have a shulchan over here. I make the same tables. You're not allowed to do that. He wants the heichel, everything the inside of the heichel with a shulchan, and he wants to have the tables with the list of spoons.
He wants like 770.
Yeah, 770. That's he said it right. Kineged, neither could you make aksadra. The aksada, which is made out of three sides, like the ulam of the Beis Hamikdash. The ulam, you remember we had a pit. Oh, here's the ulam. You see, it was like a hallway. So it's a hallway before you enter the house. This hallway, it's opened here, and here you had the space here to hang your coats. But to make it exactly that dimensions, and the same way. No, but a guy can make it like a ulam to enter before they enter his house. You shouldn't do it. Or the chotzer connected outside. He means his measurements. The Aksada had certain measurements. It was here he brings down Mitzvah that it was 20 amas. The width was 11 amas. The height was 40 amas. You're not allowed to do these things. Chotzer connected outside either. You're not allowed to make it exactly. Shulchan connected shulchan. You're not allowed to make a shulchan corresponding to the shulchan that wasn't the base of You're not allowed to such a.
Copies of the 770?
It's a good shaila. It's a big shaila. I don't know. But we didn't finish 770, so whatever you make now, it's not the complete picture. They're still working. With the tunnels, everything. Meneda, Kenegna Meneda. The Meneda goes that corresponds to Meneda. Avalesu, Shal Chamisha, Shal Shisha, Shal Shmeina. By Meneda, you could duplicate it, but as long as it's not going to be the same amount of sticks. 5, 6, 8, Abanishkin, Bashir, Shal Shiva Yasa. 7 don't make. Vafilu, Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Yehuda, Ema, Af, Menei Shalaitz Lo Yasa. Even though Menei Shalaitz you're not allowed to do it. That means why aren't you allowed to do it? That means that Menei Shalaitz was used in the Beis Hamikdash. Where it was Keder Shasa Malchi Beis Chashmonai. The Beis Chashmonai Taka didn't have money. They were Aniyim. So they Taka built a Menei Shalaitz.
Really?
Yeah. That's how they started. From there is your raya that it was made out of wood. You have it all wrong. Shapudim shabazel hayu. They had spits, these tools of spits, and they made it into sticks. V'chipum bebats. You see, they covered it with the tin that made it look very beautiful, smooth. It's very smooth. When Hashiru, when they became a little bit wealthier, Asam Shalkesa, they made it, and then Chazu, and then when Hashiru they got wealthier, Asam Shalzar, they made it of gold. So the people, because they got back their country, they went through a war, and then they settled down, and then the commerce started. So, Elishka. Anyway, so he says over here the Braisa, we learned that Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda was Machshem and Shal Eitz. And there are 3 Braisas that learn, not like you say, that it was not, that Eitz is not good. The Sava, in the name of Azak, and Goy okay, so over here, he says, so he says, you have this Braisa that Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda was Machshem and Shal Eitz, right? But we have 3 Braisas that we learn, not like you learned in the Braisa. So that's why we cannot learn this Braisa that the Menei Shalaitz was good. We have 3 Braisas that say it's Muslim. It's not good.
So what was he doing? What did they agree on that could have been?
That Menei Shalaitz will be possible, they want to say.
Everybody agreed it could be Zav, right?
Zav for sure.
Yeah.
But the Menei Shalaitz is the whole thing. That's it. That's all he says. He says that the Menei Shalaitz is not good. Probably you're allowed to make a Menei Shalaitz because it never existed according to most of them. But he says no, that it was really made out of shpudim. So and they covered it with bedil with tin.
It was made for mates.
It was not made for mates. They
What
want
was
to
the
say
children made of?
steel, spits.
Didn't have steel.
No, huh? What a metal, Okay. Shmuel said in the name of a Zaken Echad. The height of the Meneda was 18 Tfachim. Haraglayim, the Yesod, the base, the Haperach, together with the flower right on top of the base, is Shloisha Tfachim. Then Utvachayim, Cholak. Then you had a smooth stick coming out after the 3 Tfachim. That was 5 Tfachim. Then you had another tefach, which in it had the cup with the knob and the flower, utfachayim cholak, and then came another 2 tfachim that was smooth, and then a tefach echad kaf. At the 9th tefach was a knob. From that 9th tefach came out 2 sticks. from each side. It went up higher, right? The tefach, one tefach, the meaning which was cholak, which was smooth. So now we're up to 10 tefachim. The tefach kafter, and the 11th tefach was a knob, a ball, a kafter. So that ball from their kafter is already noch hat zwei Stekla by the 11th tefach. It went up now from the 11th noch hat tefach cholak, so it's 12. The tefach, then above it was the kafter, a knob, at the 13th tefach. Then again, Shnei Kanim, Yetzim Memana, Echadei, both sides. Nimshachim, we have we had it over here maybe. Well, we have it later. I think there's a picture somewhere. Oh, here it is. There you have the Menayda. If you go back to Chav Ches 2. So we're up to the third knob. See, this was 9, 11, 13. Zaris. What page? Chav Ches Amud Aleph. Chav Ches, it says number 2. On the right. Okay, we'll just go a little bit further. Yeah. So you see, we'll start off. We said already. Here's the base with the little pedach. That's 3 tvachim. 2 tvachim high. Then you had another pedach. And then another two tvachim, and the third tvachim. So that made it to 9. Okay, that made it to 9, or 8. He calls it 8, and 2 sticks came out of it. Another 2 tvachim, another 2 sticks came out of it. Another 2 tvachim, another 2 sticks came out of it.
So how became 7?
No, so you have 3, 5, 6. Then 2 empty, 1 kafte is 9. 9 came out. 2 more. The 1 tefach and then a ball is 9 is 11. And then came another tefach of empty space is 12. And the knob from the 2 sticks is 13. That's where we're up to. Okay? Then it's after the 13th tefachim came utfachayim cholak. 2 tvachim was smooth. Here you have, these are 2 tvachim. Straight, smooth. So you're up to 15. Okay? And then the started sham shleisha tvachim. So from the 15 you need 18, 3 more. The started sham shleisha tvachim. Is even geblieben 3 tvachim. Sham haben shleisha gevien. In those 3 tvachim you had the 3 cups. One was in the other. You see how the cups came in. It wasn't separate cups. One went into the other a little bit. So together with those 3 cups and the kafta and the knob and the pedach, that made up for the other 3 tvachim to 18. What would the gvim compare to? Kais Alexandrian. It was similar to the cases from Alexandria of Mitzrayim, that they were long and narrow. To what they compare to? Kresium is the name of a place where it was round. Those tapuchim were round from the place of kresim. Those apples. Aprachim. What would these flowers? To what would they compare to? Like the flowers that were engraved in the beautiful pillars that they had.
What was it in Mitzrayim already?
Aprachim shehus k'meminya amenei hem tziyurim mitzvus brachim shehu chaykikim hatzarifim bezav laimek. They engraved it into the kalim. Okay, over there it says into the amudin they had. And then so giviyim asim ushnayim. So we find the cups were 22. Kafteri machad osa. The knobs were 11 and prachim tisha. Ein stick, yeah, to make one piece. Yeah.
So you had to compare to this one.
But he didn't know how to make it. But b'per mamish, now we know. Now we have it. Now we know how to follow it. I told him we have the Beneda in gold mamish in the plaza when you go towards the Kaisel, and it's mamish the same weight. It's a kikar. They write it's kikar. You're not allowed to make it. So everybody asks, how can you do it? No, nicht like the Rambam. But they said, how could you do it? You're not allowed. Here the Gemara says you're not allowed to make 7, it has to be 8. So they said, and the same weight, they said they're not using it for Pravat, they're using it for when the Beis HaMikdash will be around, they'll bring it. Today it's worth $16 million. Each ounce is $5,000. It's crazy. I don't know if somebody can come with a helicopter and pick it up. You know what I'm saying? Huh? On the way to the Kaisel by the plaza, the big plaza, in a case there's a Menochos. So he says, the cups are one another kaftonim. You have to have all the kaftonim. You're missing one of the kaftonim. Is a Menochos Brachim. The flowers, the amount of flowers that we said is 9. You cannot be missing. Gviyim kaftonim brachim. You can. All of them are. I think we should stop here tomorrow.